So before we begin, the term Viking comes from the Old English word vikinga, which means pirate. Not all Vikings were raiders, however. Some were soldiers and nobles who simply served their lords much in the same way the Anglo-Saxons would have. For the sake of simplicity, the term Viking will be used to mean all Scandinavian soldiers and settlers who operated in Britain during this period. The Vikings consisted of two major groups. The first were the Danes from Denmark, who operated mostly in what is now England. The second group were the Norse from Norway, who focused on the northern coast of Britain as well as Ireland and Wales.
Viking invasions started in Lindisfarne Monastery. After the Roman Empire ruled Britain for 400 years, Anglo-Saxons came in ships across the North Sea. They established 5 main kingdoms. Vikings invaded Anglo-Saxon kingdoms with small armies. When they started to settle, they needed a huge army. They captured cities, castles, and kingdoms. But the Kingdom of Wessex fought and defeated them. They made peace so that English and Vikings settled down to live together in England. Some Vikings agreed to live in peace through fighting still went on, but English army prepared well. That's why English gradually recaptured land from Vikings. After more fightings, Vikings controlled all of England. And they became even king of England. After Viking king's death, English came to the throne. When the English king died, there were 3 claimants to the throne. Vikings from North, Anglo-Saxons from England, and Normans from Normandy. England was invaded twice in 1066. First, the Viking army landed and they were defeated by Anglo-Saxons. 3 days later, though, Norman army landed. Anglo-Saxons were tired and outnumbered, so they were defeated by the Normans. That's why control of aristocracy and church were held by Normans. French words and names entered the English language. And after years, Normans' lands in France caused the 100 Years' War.
Major cultural differences between the two ethnic groups, the largest of which was religion. When they arrived, the Vikings were pagans, worshipping numerous gods such as Odin, Freya or Thor, which was problematic for the Christian Anglo-Saxons and Celts already living in Britain. When they first arrived, the Vikings had no qualms with raiding and destroying church property in Britain. Churches were the main centres of learning at this point, which meant that many cultural works and laws did not survive the Viking raiding, which is why so much more is known about places such as Wessex than East Anglia or Northumbria.
These brave Vikings, though, were a bunch of troublemakers. They liked nothing better than raiding and looting their neighbours and carrying off whatever they could. If they died in combat, Vikings believed they went to Valhalla, a kind of heaven where parties went on forever and ever. Yeah! Valhalla was like one long birthday feast, which never ended. The Vikings drank beer from horns and also from the skulls of enemies, killed in combat. A disgusting idea nowadays, but 1500 years ago, people didn't think it was such a horrid thing to do. To look mean and frighten their enemies, the Vikings wore helmets fitted with horns and wings. The whole of Europe lived in fear of Viking attack. Feudal lords built castles to defend themselves and protect their subjects.
One way of potentially telling how many Vikings settled is by looking at place names. As a very general rule, the names of Viking-founded towns tend to end in either B or Thorpe, such as Derby or Scunthorpe. whereas Anglo-Saxon towns tend to end in tun, ham or bury, such as Luton, Buckingham or Shaftesbury.